And thanks for everybody being here on the holiday weekend.
Will y'all
Uh,
please mute also?
yeah, they will. Thanks, Mike. Um, okay, well, apologies for that. Happy Memorial Day. That should be have a peaceful Memorial Day. These are just reminders for the meeting will be recorded. Nina, if you could keep an eye on the waiting room, see if anybody else comes in. We have about 40 people signed up, but you know.
Yes, ma'am, I will do that.
All right, thank you so much. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with our agenda. I have a few updates, not too many, and then we're going to hear from Fern with some info and updates about our Giving Circle effort. And then our speaker today is Danielle Blocker, who's the Executive Director for Young People for Progress, who we're really looking forward to hearing from. And she'll be going online around 11, we hope, and that'll be our meeting, and hopefully with time for discussion and questions at the end. So without further ado, let me go ahead with my updates part of the meeting. Oh, thanks, Steve. There's Steve plugged in the chat about the origin, good article in the post about origin of Memorial Day. Thanks, Steve. So just a few updates and just a reminder that I'm going to turn down this chat so I don't see it. So I'll miss anything, but maybe Nina, you can keep an eye on. We are reading away and had a great conversation last time about Rachel Bidikofer's book about more stronger messaging needed. And so our next book is The Democracy Fix. And there's a little blurb there on the screen that you can see. This is a short book. It's about 200 pages, excluding the bibliography. It looks awesome. So there's still plenty of time to join us if you're interested in that. We'll have a in-person discussion on that on the 9th of June. So I think these reading things have been very enriching. We've had great conversations. So hope you can join us. And then, of course, you get to vote on the next book too. While we still have time to read, because obviously our schedules will get busier and busier as the year progresses. So that's that. Another mark your calendar. I think that this is something worthwhile. I just saw it when I came back into town yesterday. I've been away. Ezra Lee, the two founders of Indivisible have a regular newsletter that's at that link on Indivisible team at guys, I put the link there. I can't see the rest of it because my view of you guys is blocking it. But they've been putting out some very good newsletters, very good about the big picture nationally, and it's definitely worth a read. And so what they've started doing is having these what they call newsletter coffee chats after the newsletters where you can submit a question and talk to them. And they're going to have their next one on May 31st. And I put the link there and a way you can also submit a question to them. And I think it'll be very worthwhile. I intend to go. Want to just remind you about our messaging efforts, and don't forget to sign up for the Jaywalkers Amplify This. They've been coming out with really good strong messaging that are excellent for you to share with friends and neighbors if you merely want to just, forward the email that you receive from Jaywalkers. That's the easiest way to do. I will try to, our last newsletter, I converted their message to a shareable Google slide, and I will continue doing that in the newsletters if you want to use that as well. It was something that I was able to share to my Twitter account and to check with Donna to see if she was able to do something with threads on that. But they're very good messages. I saw another one came out while I was out of town. So definitely sign up. It's always good to have good news and good talking points so that you can respond to folks that you see on a daily basis who may say things that you have something positive that you can help them have a better perspective. And then again,
Martha is asking about the links that are on the slides. They're not coming up in the chat. I cannot copy them directly from that, but I just
Okay.
wanted everybody to know that the slide deck will be available,
Yeah,
yes, after the meeting.
absolutely. Yeah. And the same thing, or similar effort going on with the Maryland Democratic Party. I think they've really, it's a, it's a, it's, you love to see it. The Maryland Democrats really stepping forward, and they've got this great digital battalion where they have been doing hard-hitting messaging, and it's very good. And to sign up, you can get the same thing there. And again, when we share the slide deck, these links will all be live. I want to, another opportunity I just wanted to mention is Indivisible is going out in a big way for the Dobbs anniversary, which is the weekend of June 21, or the week of June 21, 24. And they have a number of efforts that they are putting. As we know, the abortion issue is extremely engaging and important for the Democrats. And so looking through the various opportunities, the thing that I was most interested in was a phone bank where it's a national phone bank on Thursday, June 20th at 6 p.m. And what Indivisible has teed up is this concept of Project 2024. And obviously that's a clap back to Project 2025, which is the MAGA nightmare if Trump ever got elected, which he will not. But Project 2024 is Indivisible's answer to that. And they have a list of states that they are targeting, candidates, it's a whole like kitchen sink of opportunities and efforts and actions. So one of these specifically surrounding Dobbs is going to be this phone bank. And it includes several Pennsylvania U.S. congressional districts, which I think will be interesting. I really, I would urge you to sign up. If you are at all unsure about phone banking, they'll be using a hub dialer for this. Um, if you're at all unsure about phone banking and you're a little shy about this, please don't feel at all, that guilty or whatever, because, it's not usually normal for most of us to want to pick up the phone and call strangers. But um, I, we have a number of very um, experienced phone bankers on our team. We'd love to talk to you and tell you what it's like when you phone bank with a hub dialer. And we'd be love it if you're interested. We could even set up a little debrief just for us afterwards, because some of the fun of phone banking is actually, talking to your fellow workers after the phone bank's over and sharing notes. So please consider this. I think it's worthwhile. I've signed up for it. And let's face it, we've got to get our feet back into phone banking. I want to mention our Do the Right Thing letter writing project. We are going forward. We're doing really well. We've completed about 1,200 of our 1,500 letters that we committed to. We'd love to keep going on this and keep writing. We are considering, there are other writing campaigns that are out there that we're taking a look at. There's a link here to sign up. We're currently writing again to people in voter suppression states, North Carolina specifically, to get them information on voter ID. Those are very worthwhile letters. They're awesome. And then the Vote Forward, which we've done many times, which is the urging low propensity and youth to vote. So we need your help on that. Something you can do alone or come and join us. So on June 23rd, that's a Sunday afternoon, we'll be writing letters at Silver Branch Brewing in downtown Silver Spring. That's a super fun place. We're covered either way if we have bad weather, because they have a huge tap room and we can go right inside there. There's plenty of public parking and literally steps away from the Silver Spring Metro. And I've got a form there to RSVP. Again, that'll be live when I send it out. You can tell us if you're coming and if you'd like supplies. We'd love to see you. Be a fun fellowship time. Just to turn a little bit to the primary. I'll just talk real quickly about that. Yeah, Mike, do you have a question?
Yeah, comment. Actually, you just mentioned Metro to the Silver Spring thing in June. Be
Yeah.
aware that there will be 5 red line stations: Glenmont, Wheaton, Forest Glen, Silver Spring, and Tacoma that will be closed during June and July for upgrades and maintenance and that kind of stuff. So you'll have to come up with a plan B to get down there because you can't do it by Metro.
Right. If you want, they'll have shuttle buses from the
Yeah, but
stations.
still, it's
But
much
yeah.
more.
Yeah,
Okay.
but thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about primaries. Again, I've been out of town, so this is going to be brief, just sort of some good things to see. The MoCo school board, we seem to escape the worst of the candidates that looked pretty dangerous. There's one candidate still out there who has some not so great views about she was a former Brenda Diaz, who was a former school teacher. She's left Montgomery County Public Schools and has spoken out on Moms for Liberty platforms. So that's not good to see, but all the rest of the candidates that we wanted made it through. So that was good. And then the big one is the primary results. Obviously, as you know, it's going to be Brooks won against Trone. This is a picture from the Unity celebration that happened, I guess, I'm not sure when, since I've been away, but you can see David Trone there over to the right with his one hand up, and he has come out strongly in support of Brooks. So that's good to see because we need, obviously, his support and his voters. So the thing that I did want to mention, I think this is the last thing I have here, is beating Hogan. Okay, so there was an interesting article in Montgomery Perspective by Adam Pugnaccio, and I'm sure there might be other things. I just haven't had time since I've, again, just got back into town. But I thought this was a very interesting article that he wrote on the 22nd, analyzing the results of the Trone voters and showing that we need Brooks, needs to get the Trone Democrats behind her. And his analysis focuses on the fact that he thinks that those tend to be white males who are concerned about crime. But these are Democrats. These are not Republicans, but these are Democrats who voted for Trone. And just having, this is anecdotal, but just having done some phone banking for Brooks before the primary, speaking personally, I think the people I spoke to who were undecided told me they were undecided because they weren't sure Brooks could beat Hogan in the general. And that's a very logical and fair, thing to be concerned about. There was a poll that was put out at the beginning of May showing that she could, and Trone could have if he had won. So stay tuned. I mean, obviously, we have a lot of work to do. We'll be working with our partners in Indivisible Howard County. And I just want to give them a shout out for this wonderful Larry Hogan is not your friend piece that they crafted and sent out. This is a great little one-sheeter that they put out with all these links about, bad stuff, the truth about Hogan, how he is not a reasonable guy, but although he tries to portray himself as one. I think looking ahead, it's obvious he's going to come out, and he's already come out talking about crime and how and I think that'll be his number one thing. But we shall see. So, and then the Alsobrooks campaign themselves will be, I'm sure, be providing plenty of opportunities. So that's everything I think I have. And Fern, I may have taken a little more time than I intended to. I want to stop sharing this and turn the screen over to you to talk about Giving Circle.
Okay.
Okay, oh dear. Let's see. Okay. Please forgive me.
Okay.
I was
Take your time.
working with, oh no. I was working with two computers. And I'll just let me get this out of the way. Oh, here we are.
Sure.
Right. And I want to stop sharing. Let me see for a moment. Because I want to try to get this on the
If you have a link and you want to put it in the chat, I could share it.
yeah. Okay.
Whatever you want to do. It's
Okay. Just bear with me for a moment.
Sure. While Fern is doing,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say while Fern is getting her slides up, I'm not sure if we'll have time at the end, but would love to hear anybody's thoughts about the primary, obviously. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic.
Can you see that?
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
Right. Let me okay.
There you go.
It's not yet June, but let's see. Let me just see what I just want to be able to see to eliminate this tab so I can see the slide myself. I might have to just go blind here. All right. Well, it's not yet June, but in honor of Gay Pride Month, I thought I'd just put up these rainbow colors. And so my name is Fern Hunt, and I will be giving you an update on Indivisible Montgomery's Giving Circle. The Giving Circle is a project that is part of a larger, very important effort called the States Project. The purpose of the States Project is to fund races, state legislature races on the state level. This is until relatively recently, the last 5 years, has been an unseen and largely unknown source of power for progressive change. That is to say, many issues on the state level, whether we're talking about women's reproductive rights, whether we're talking about education, whether we're talking about crime. These are issues that are often decided in a critical way at the state legislature level. And the Republicans, about a little over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago, realized this. And we are in catch-up mode, and we decided last fall at Indivisible Montgomery to set up a branch, as it were, of the States Project. Essentially, this branch of the States Project is called Giving Circle, where people can donate money that goes directly to state project organizers and the campaigns, the individual state campaigns, whether it's to help them with their infrastructure in their offices, or whether it is to help them pay organizers and to fund door-to-door, door knocking, and canvassing drives. So we started out with an initial goal last fall of $10,000. We had a kickoff in January where the founder of States Project, Melissa Walker, spoke to us. So we had a great kickoff, and we also formed a leadership team. And these are the members of the leadership team Dee Clarkin, myself, Nina Liakos, Martin Trocchi, and Susan Zengerle. And I want to thank them for their help, for their support, for their dedication to this tremendous goal. After we reached our $10,000 goal, we decided to, and as we had the right to do, in fact, pick a state, and our state is Pennsylvania. And let me tell you a little bit about what has happened since, since March. We now have 71 members, and we have raised $19,095, a little over $19,000. That's double what we had, what we had in March. Our goal is to raise $30,000 for Pennsylvania state legislature races. Right now, the Pennsylvania House has the Democrats have one more House delegate than the Republicans, so it's just a 1-seat advantage. It's a very, very close race. They're also down, I believe, 3 seats in the Senate. And so our goal is to essentially flip the Senate and to hold our advantage in the state house. So that is really what we want to do. We are very close to $20,000. Okay, we're 2/3 of the way to our goal. And so I want to talk to you a little bit more about how we can reach that goal. If one person gives us $1,000 or more, 2 people give us $500, or 10 people give us, $100. We could, in other words, $1,000 can be expressed in many different ways. But notice how the more people are involved, the easier the task is to raise the money that we need to reach our goal and be able to affect power. $1,000 is also equal to another set of modalities, another way of creating community. Namely, suppose you've already given, and now you're sitting here and going, oh, I've given, I've done my bit. All right. Okay, you've given. And listen, I can't tell you how much we so deeply appreciate and love what you have done, not just for this giving circle here or Pennsylvania, but for your country and for the peace of mind of everyone here. That you have done what you have been able to do and you have given your part. But let's say you've given. You could ask others to give. For example, 5 donors, let's say they ask 5 people to give. If those 5 people gave $40, 5 donors ask 5 others, each one asked 5 people to give $40, we would reach $1,000. And so this is yet another way of growing our community, growing really our strength, our political strength, by essentially reaching out to others. Because let's face it, the one thing that Republicans want to do is to isolate, separate us from each other. We have things in common. We're not identical, but we do have many views and core views in common. And the antidote to what is going on is to reconnect, to connect with others. And so this second modality of donors reaching out to others and asking them to give is an extremely powerful way to reconnect along democratic values. What's coming up? Well, some of the things that we're going to do, actually 2 principal things, are we want to give donors an update on what's happening on the state that we have selected. The state's project has a coordinator in Pennsylvania, and we will be reaching out to state's project to get an update from them on what their activities are, and to get an update on the candidates that we are supporting. The donors meeting is likely to be virtual, but I think it's very, very important, because at that meeting we will be talking more about connection, creating a network of democratic and progressive power building. That's really what this is. It isn't really fundraising. It is a political act. When you give your dollars, you are giving answer to the perpetual stream coming from the TV set, from, the Orange Menace and his cult. The second thing that we are going to do, and notice that there's a theme to these two activities, right? The theme to these two activities is building connection to build power. So we have a donors meeting, and then secondly, we are planning an in-person activity to support our candidates. We don't know yet what that will be, but we are going to have a way for donors to meet each other finally, face to face. So with that, I want to thank you so much. Those of you who have supported us, those of you that have given, those of you that are continuing to give, to do what you can and to do it in a smart way. Because by giving at the local level, giving and supporting politics and progressive politics at the community level, that is the level at which the will of the community, the dreams of the community, the hopes that we have to build a better world for ourselves and our neighbors, that is one of the most effective and smartest ways to do that, by acting at the local level. And for those of you that are very, very concerned about what happens nationally, and that's practically all of us, remember, there is the possibility, right, of a reverse coattail effect. That is, we give for specific issues in our state. For example, water, by the way, privatization is a very big issue in Pennsylvania. We give at the local levels to state candidates, and what that means is that people come to the polls. And when they come to the polls to vote for progressive candidates at the local level, we increase the likelihood of their supporting candidates, Democratic candidates at the national level, federal level. So with that, I'm going to call your attention, not go on too long anymore. I want to call your attention to this QR code. You can scan that with your phone. That will take you directly to our website. Please use that. You can go to the website and donate right now. If you don't want to use the QR code, of course, we have the URL again for our Indivisible Montgomery Giving Circle. And with that, I'm going to thank you. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thanks, Fern. That's great. Thanks for that recap of where we are and where we hope to go. Okay, it's 11:04 and we have two guest speakers actually, I see now, who have joined us from Young People for Progress. And we have Danielle Blocker, who is online with us. Hi, Danielle. Nice to see you. And she has a colleague who has joined her, Omodamola Williams. Mr. Williams is with us as well. So Danielle, let me just introduce you to the team here. I'd like to read your bio, if I may. Danielle Blocker is a steadfast organizer and advocate for community empowerment and human rights, originally from Silver Spring, Maryland, and a graduate of James Hubert Blake High School. And she began organizing as a student activist in St. Louis, Missouri, around issues of fair wages and working conditions and police brutality. She has since worked as a union organizer, helped launch the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, as one of its inaugural chairs in Maryland, and worked with communities across Maryland and Washington, D.C. to mobilize and train organizers. Danielle founded Young People for Progress in 2019 because she believes young people, like all people, have the power to improve their own lives and those of their communities through collective action. She enjoys singing and all things musical, and every day is grateful to organize with the talented, educated, and fun members of YPP. So thank you for being with us. Feel free to take it away. I've made you co-host if you'd like to share any slides with us or anything at all. Floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And it is so great to be here. And we have a special treat. I was talking to our board member, Omodamola, last night about visiting you all, and he said he would love to come and join as well to tell a little bit more about our issues. And so Omodamola Williams was a member of Young People for Progress until he turned 35, and is now still a board member of the organization, an organizer with the Montgomery County Racial Equity Network, ran for Gaithersburg City Council, so is definitely into civic engagement, and has worked a lot on the issues of safety and investment, but also to address police profiling and disparities in our schools. So Omodamola, hopefully I didn't miss anything.
Oh, no, you are right on point.
Wonderful. So let me see if I can get my computer to work to pull up these slides. It's been finicky today. Wonderful. See if the video links work. Perfect. And just double checking to make sure we're good on time. We have a good 30 minutes, yes?
Yes.
Perfect, wonderful. So Young People for Progress, we're working with a number of organizations, particularly around community investment and safety without criminalization. And so we run issue campaigns on issues that particularly affect young people in the county. So when we started organizing in 2019, we surveyed a lot of young adults and youth. We stood in lines at concerts. We went to skate parks. We went to Montgomery College and GED centers, asking what were the issues that affected young people and what were the things that they wanted to organize around. Affordable housing was a very big one. And another issue that was very big, surprisingly big, was police profiling. And we had a lot of young people, particularly in Silver Spring, feeling like they were stopped unfairly and profiled and treated unfairly by police. And when we looked at the numbers, that actually made a lot of sense, because the majority of people arrested in Montgomery County, around 60%, are between the ages of 18 and 34 years old. And a large share of those, almost half the folks arrested, month to month when we started organizing, were below 25. So a lot of the arrests, but also the stops that happen, are of younger people, right? And so we began organizing more around the issue, right? And through that, through talking to a lot of students at class announcements at Montgomery College, et cetera, we learned that people's experiences during traffic stops by police was a major issue for them as well. That and issues of discipline in school. So now we are working with other organizations in our Decriminalize Montgomery County campaign, particularly to address racial profiling in traffic stops, what we're calling decriminalizing drivers, and some racial disparities in arrests and discipline in schools, which we're calling decriminalized students. But we'll start with traffic stops first. And I think I can get these slides up. Let's see, open with decriminalize county. Okay. Okay. Do Canva.
Are you using the share screen at the bottom?
I am. When I present, it hides my screen.
Oh.
So let me see if there's a way.
Is there something about the view? Can you knock out, you should knock out the other people that are viewing, interviewed,
Yeah.
because that could be interfering with the visibility of your slides.
Okay, so let me try this. Share screen, share sound.
There you go.
Perfect. Can you all see
Yep.
my?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Sorry for the technical
No
difficulty.
worries. Don't worry.
Great. So first, we will go a little bit. And first ask, just curious to hear from you all, your experience on the issue and, your general knowledge. Who do you think gets stopped most in traffic stops in Montgomery County?
Well, I'm not going to answer because I read the really, truly excellent report, which analyzed, did a deep dive into the data around this issue. So I'm going to shut up.
I guess it's young people.
Young people are stopped a lot, for sure.
Got young Black men in the chat.
Yeah, a lot of people are adding this to the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, the Office of Legislative Oversight, which is the county council's research office, looked into the data on traffic stops, and Black drivers in particular are stopped a lot in Montgomery County. They're almost half of the traffic stops, even though they're a little less than 20% of the population. And the OLO called attention to it. And the Public Safety Committee of the County Council asked, why are these disparities? And how do we address them? And that's one of the things that we're working on now. So, so often people are searched when they're stopped, so that officers can check for drugs or other things, even if there's no evidence that they're doing anything wrong. That's called a consent search. When a police officer makes a traffic stop and there's clear evidence or even suspicion that someone is breaking the law, they don't actually need permission to search people, right? But if they have no evidence and have no clear suspicion, legally, they have to ask if they can search you, right? And if they ask and you say yes, they can search you, even if they don't have probable cause. This is called a consent search. And we find that Black residents in the county, and particularly residents of Silver Spring, Wheaton, East County, are being stopped and consent searched a lot more, even though there are lower rates of police finding anything for these folks. And so this is causing a lot of fear among people. It can cause legal harm, it can cause financial harm, and it can waste people's time and sometimes escalate to violence. And so this is one of the things that we're trying to address. Trying to address. So this is a consent search that happened a couple years ago, right by the Glenmont Metro Station. Does anybody live near Glenmont or know where that is?
Sure, yep, Georgia Avenue, yep,
Right.
yep.
You know how to get in a car? Do you know how to get in a car?
You want me to get in this car?
Yeah. Do you know how to do it? Okay. So you're gonna ask him questions. You want to see if he's ever been stopped by the police. So it's kind of standard. Have you ever been stopped by the police?
Yeah.
And then go into specifics. Traffic, civil, criminal. Ever been locked up before? If the answer to all those questions are no, have you ever had any police contact? Ever been part of a report? All right. Based upon that, anything illegal in the car, guns, drugs, bazooka, dead body in the trunk. Sounds ridiculous? Most people hear dead body. Nah. Can I get consent? There you go. Work it out.
So you have anything in your car at this time?
No, I don't have anything but
drugs, guns, dead bodies, anything like that?
Whoa.
I mean, it sounds
really?
crazy, man.
Whoa, nah, I got lamps and stuff that's helping her move. In my work, I have work, I do maintenance. My stuff is in my trunk, is my tools for work, that's it.
You mind if we take a look in? Mind if I take a look in?
I don't see why. I don't think that would be necessary.
Oh no, I was just asking, man, because you say you don't have anything in there.
I can open my trunk for you if that's what you want to see. There's a lamps and moving stuff on the inside, that's it. But I mean, if you want to look at my trunk, you want to look at my trunk?
All right, that's cool.
All right.
I was trying to talk him through consent, but he didn't let the dude reach back in the car, pop the trunk, so I have no idea where they are in the middle of getting consent.
Okay.
But can you unfuck this up?
Yeah, they got K9 right up the street.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, we could give them the cool.
So here, this resident in Montgomery County, he actually ended up going to the ACLU and the county was sued for this consent search. But this person was moving. The police pulled him over. I think it was for tinted windows. I cannot remember, but pulled him over for some minor traffic stop. And they don't have any like probable cause or suspicion that he's doing anything wrong. And so they tried to talk him into a consent search so they could search him and possibly find something. And they were held for hours. I think they had canines come. And so it was a really bad experience for him and his partner who were in the middle of moving. And these consent searches are happening a lot in Montgomery County, but are also a reason that drives traffic stops to begin with. A lot of police will make minor traffic stops for a recently expired plate or something so that they can try to get a consent search. But were there any things that you all noticed or that surprised you about what happened in this video?
It was interesting to me, you know, that he started to say to the officer, well, I don't see why you would need to search me, but if you want to, you know. So, I mean, the pressure on somebody standing there with a policeman is intense. I mean, I felt it just watching the film. I mean, but wouldn't he have been within his rights just to say no, you what, you know, you have to have probable cause to search me, and what is that probable cause?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
did he say no in the video? Well, he kind of tried to. He
He
said,
tried to.
I don't see
Exactly.
there's a reason to search your car, right? And we've seen this happen a lot too, where someone says no, or they say, you know, I don't see a reason. And they're responded to with, well, you don't have any dead bodies in your trunk, do you? But even without those kind of verbal responses that can be pressure, there is a power dynamic between a regular person and a police officer that makes a lot of people feel pressured to say yes, even if the officer never mentions dead bodies and is just super nice and the best person. And so this legal issue of consent searches is still something that creates pressure.
Danielle, I'm not sure if you can see the chat. We
No,
have
we
a
can't.
couple comments. It seemed to be a lot of police cars for this one traffic stop. And I was surprised by the coaching on intentional coercion given to one officer by the other. And I also posted a question, which is, are police in Montgomery County incentivized in any way to make arrests that would encourage them to spend their time this way?
That's a very good question. I am not in the police department, right? But I will say the police department reports on the number of things they found in consent searches, which is very low. And, you know, that is a question that a lot of folks are wondering too, right? Are police incentivized to make consent searches? Why are some people being consent searched so much more despite a lower hit rate, right? Or a lower retrieval rate than others? And what are the civic and societal implications of this happening so much, right? Will people in neighborhoods and areas of the county where this happens a lot feel free or feel comfortable coming to the police if there is an issue, right? Will they feel comfortable being civically engaged? Will they feel comfortable going from one part of the county to another if this is the practice? So all very good questions.
Now we
And
have a
so,
couple more comments. Can you see them, Danielle?
yes, all maybe answer one more and move on. What do the police say in response? Do they have any good justification? That escalated quickly. Yeah, so I will answer that one question and move on. Now, the police department has said this is a major crime fighting tool, and we use this to confiscate guns and confiscate drugs. But when we look at the data from the county, they've found something in less than 1% of the consent searches they've done, right? And so there are other things that have a higher success rate that police can be spending their time on. But that is the, justification. And some are saying, if we limit these consent searches, we're taking away a tool of the police to fight crime. And so that is what some folks are saying. But again, it does a lot of harm, not only for the individuals, right? Sometimes financially, legally. We have members of Young People for Progress who have been consent searched and then been late for work. Some have been disciplined at their jobs. And other things. So there are some financial, employment consequences, fear, legal consequences, and it just really increases distrust, right? That people have towards police, but also towards the local government. And so all of those things, which is why we've been pushing the county to address this issue. And we were able to work with a council member to introduce a bill this past February to ban consent searches called the Freedom to Leave Act. Will Jawando introduced it. We had a public hearing for it. And the work sessions for the bill will happen in late June. And so we particularly want folks to know that this is happening in Montgomery County, want to hear people's thoughts and experiences. And if they support addressing this issue, we definitely want to work with them. And Omodamola, he's been a big advocate for addressing this issue. And he has been stopped and searched in Montgomery County too, in a way that's been a very bad use of public dollars and caused a lot of unnecessary issues for him. Omodamola, if you want to share that, you can, or talk about some of the other work you've been doing, you can do that too.
Thank you. I will try to make this story as short as possible. This is a perfect example of somebody who said in the chat, complete waste of tax dollars. So I was stopped. I was living in my van, well, my father's van, and my license was expired, and along with the registration, even though I was working at UPS during that time, but I was trying to pay off bills and stuff. And the police stopped me, asked me a bunch of questions. They searched my car, wrote me some tickets, and told me, hey, you gotta get rid of the car, even though that was my only form of transportation to get to work. Unfortunately, as I was waiting for my court date, it went to the address on my driver's license, even though I had a P.O. box, and court dates don't go to your P.O. box unless you let the officer know. But I didn't know. I thought once you have a P.O. box, everything goes to the P.O. box. It's forwarded. So because of this, I had a failure to appear to court. So once I went to the commissioners to talk to the commissioner at the downtown Silver Spring courthouse, the commissioner decided to keep me in jail until my next court date instead of just letting me still go to work and reschedule my court date. So I'm going to make this story a little bit quicker. I did eventually get out of jail, even though I lost my car, lost my job, only for the judge to dismiss the case. Now, there's a lot of factors in this. The police, the court date, hiring the judge, hiring the attorney, all it is the taxpayer funds. I was basically I went through all of this just for being poor. And my story is not common, is not uncommon. But when I try to get other people to speak up, they feel I get the same response. No one gives a crap about my story. You can do this, but I can't do it. I'm there may be some retaliation. I gotta go to work. I gotta try to make ends meet. And so I'm still gonna continue to advocate and talk about this. I feel as though these safety violations of a brake light that's out, a headlight that's out, modern cars. Like I'm pretty sure your vehicle have like multiple brake lights and tag lights, but the police right now can stop you for one and then try to may escalate, but try to find and search and fish for other ways to incriminate you so that the police can probably get a jackpot or whatever their terminology is called. We just want police to focus more on serious crimes, serious violations of speeding, dangerous driving. But I'm still trying to understand the dangers of having one brake light out, slightly tinted windows, one headlight out, or a crack on a windshield. So, or even an expired tags. So that's just my story. That's my perspective. And I don't know if anybody have any comments or questions, but I'll hand it back to Danielle. Thank you for hearing me out.
And Omodamola, thanks for sharing. And so we see this is an example when, Omodamola was working. He was trying to get in a better situation, but was temporarily between housing, living in his car. His license plate was expired. He knew it was expired. He was getting money to renew the registration, but in that time, he was stopped, he was searched, he was given a court notice that, of course, didn't go to his address. And the government spent a lot of money putting him in jail for failure to appear when he went to the courthouse to ask, did I miss mail, right? He was in a worse place because he lost his job in those couple days that he was in court. It was difficult for him to take care of his kids, and other arrangements had to be made in those couple days, right? And all for the case to be dismissed anyway. And so in this case, it didn't escalate to violence, right? And Omodamola was eventually okay. Ran for Gaithersburg City Council, a dynamic organizer, a dynamic person, right? But it does not always end up that way, and hasn't ended up that way for a lot of our members, right? And one of our partners on this issue is the Washington Area Bicyclists Association, or WABA, because they care a lot about traffic safety. They care a lot about bicyclist and pedestrian safety. And they are saying that there are better ways to increase traffic safety, right, and to keep people safe, than randomly pulling over and searching people here and there. We could be investing in bike lanes, protected crosswalks, lower speed limits, safer like traffic safety infrastructure, right? That supports our neighborhoods, supports our communities. We could just be subsidizing brake lights. You have a brake light, we'll just give you a voucher, right? That would be far less money than what it is to employ extra folks to stop and search and bring canines and jail, right? And so what we're trying to do with this issue first is to remove the harm by stopping these consent searches and passing the Freedom to Leave Act. And I will put the fact sheet from the council member's office on the Freedom to Leave Act in the chat right now. So first, remove that harm, right? Do that. And then second, work with community for proactive ways that we can invest in community to keep us safe, right? And invest more resources rather than not give resources and just police folks for being poor or for living in a certain area of the county. And so first I will ask, what do you all think about that?
Danielle, can I ask one other question
Sure.
before? Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the consent search. When someone, consents, so to speak, although we know it's, kind of under weird and strange circumstances, what kind of record is made of that? Do they get something on, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. A police record, whatever that means. For
Police are supposed to report the reason for the initial stop and whether they made a consent search. There have been some issues with data reporting on whether the initial reason for the stop has always gotten reported. And so there are issues there, but the police are supposed to be reporting that. And Montgomery County Police are supposed to have their body cameras on during all stops, right? Now, how easy it is to monitor what people are saying to get consent, right? Is another question. Is anyone really going to watch every single body cam thing to ask, is a question. And even if people say all the right words, there's still pressure just from the unequal dynamic. Consent searches are not truly consensual. And we have extensive national research that shows that minority groups and marginalized groups and young people are more likely to say yes to consent searches than older people, than white people. And so it is an issue that's causing a lot of harm for those reasons as well.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. I was thinking about the whole spectrum of harm on somebody that endures one of these stops. So what's the passage? What do you anticipate in terms of difficulty for getting this passed? Or what do you think? I mean,
well, that's a great question. We had a great public hearing in February, and many organizations, Jews United for Justice, I believe WABA, Young People for Progress, the ACLU of Maryland have met with council members to urge them to pass this. So first, it goes to the Public Safety Committee, council members Kristen Mink, Dawn Lutke, and Sydney Katz. If it passes the Public Safety Committee, then it will go to the full council and a vote. When we met with Sidney Katz, Councilmember Katz, and we've met with him a number of times over the issues, he has really expressed we can't necessarily police our ways out of every problem, and really wanting to look at what are all the ways that we can spend resources to keep folks safe, protected and not criminalized. So we're encouraged that we have a real chance to reduce some harm, but also build support for better proactive investment in community safety in all the ways.
And is there a dollar amount that's been identified as, being spent on all this consent searches?
Being spent in concerts.
Yeah. I
I'll
mean,
have
how many of our
ask.
tax dollars? I know I know Fern said and you mentioned there's also an existing report. I can go look at that. Like, how much of our tax dollars are being spent on this activity with with a 1%, return on investment, if you want to call it that.
That's a really good question. I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll have to ask. We know that there have been not low yes, low recruitment rates, but just a lot of folks are retiring. A lot of folks aren't joining the police force, especially in police districts 3 and 4, which are Silver Spring, White Oak, Wheaton, the areas where these consent searches happen the most, right? And so the county has spent a lot of money in policing recently for hiring bonuses and certain bonuses for certain areas, new partnership with Montgomery College. They just launched a new drone program, and they're doing a lot of PR for our drone program. It's so cool. Join the police department. But patrol services, which is one of the bureaus that does consent searches, a lot of money in the police budget is always spent on this. And, some of it could be used for traffic cameras. I'm not for or against them, just saying. Some have a very high efficacy rate in reducing speeding and reducing crashes in some areas. Some of that money could be used on protected crosswalks, street infrastructure, other things where there is a lot of empirical evidence that these things are effective in improving safety, many of which cost less. And then Omodamola, I didn't know if we were going to say something. Okay.
Yeah, you said most of what I was about to say. I just wanted to add on there that the questions that's being asked is something is going to require the police to actually have a form of transparency of communication between them and the community. And when we try to establish something like that, it's like pulling teeth. I mean, we're trying to ask the direct questions. What is the challenge? Why is it a challenge to try to get the accurate information on the ethnicity and race of the people you stop and pull over? Will Joanna have constantly asked this question? I just want to know who are you pulling over? And the police, and you'll see in the public safety committees, like these police will just say, well, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're not actually sure yet. And we just need more people in the community in the public to pressure for more transparency. That's what I wanted to add on there.
For sure.
So looking at our time, do we have like a wrap up on
I have a
how
question.
yeah, go ahead, Fern.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but
Oh.
but there how do you address otherwise progressive folks who are concerned about crime? And because I have attended, for example, safety meetings in Silver Spring, and where you do, hear from the police. And the people I'm talking about now are themselves maybe unaware of the problems that we're discussing right now.
Mhm.
And my concern is that politicians will take advantage of the fear to prevent reforms like freedom to leave. Do you have some strategies and messaging that we can use to encourage the election of people like Omodamola, who who back reform?
Absolutely. That is a great final question. The first is, if we are going to increase safety, right, and solve safety issues, we're going to need things that work, right? And some of the things that we're doing now, like consent searches, the data is clear. They just don't work, right? The vast majority of people who are stopped are found with nothing, right? And they do a lot more harm than good, right? And that not only are they ineffective, right, but they are decreasing trust in government. They are decreasing civic engagement and community involvement. They are causing people financial harm, legal harm, all these other things. And so if we are serious about solving the root causes of these problems, instead of just not doing anything to address them and then just saying, we have police there, we're doing something, right? Or kind of slapping policing as a quick fix on a problem, then we're really going to need to get community input. We're going to need to look at some of the data and research we have, and look at how we can have some proactive measures to address a lot of safety concerns. The council just had a press conference, almost everybody at the council had a press conference in downtown Silver Spring at the Civic Center maybe 3 weeks ago to talk about the new drone program and money that they're giving to that. A lot of concerns there. But anyway, in that, our county executive, Mark Alrich, said himself that a lot of the uptick in crime is low-level crime. It's shoplifting, it's loitering, it's those things, right? And so, and a lot of mental health issues, right? And so if we want to address a lot of these low-level crime things that are increased and spurred by homelessness, lack of access to adequate healthcare, including mental health care, right? Then we should be investing in mental health care, whether that be, outpatient clinics, right? Certain things like that. There are things that we can do to address these particular things, right? And if what we're seeing is mostly low-level petty crime, then we don't need to respond to that through more consent searches or more things that don't have to do with the actual areas where we're seeing increases in crime. And so I think that is one start of a response, but definitely something that we're working with community members to talk about how we can keep our community safe, but also invest in our communities to address some of the root causes of those issues. So we're having some Decriminalize Montgomery County meetings over the summer. Anyone who's interested in talking with us more about these issues and coming up with solutions, you all are welcome to join. So just let us know and we'll give you the info. I am happy to answer any last questions, and then we'll just say thank you for having us.
Nina, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to clarify, freedom to leave, is that a state bill, county regulation?
That is a local county bill.
Okay,
And so
just
that will
just
affect the
questioning
city of Montgomery County.
who I need to ask to advocate for it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so the next step for it would be being approved by the safety committee. So I assume that there's opportunities for public input at that point, like we could write to the committee or
always an opportunity for public input, particularly through letters and emails. And so we would love for you to email the council members on the Public Safety Committee, particularly Council Member Sidney Katz, who is the head of the Public Safety Committee, to let him know your thoughts, but also to let him know how important this is just for civic engagement, right, and community engagement as well.
Sure.
If a lot of folks are being stopped and searched in their late teens, early 20s, right, and at an early age in young adulthood, they are getting the message that I am not a valued member of society, how likely are they to vote, right? Or to show up to a community town hall. There are a couple members of our organization who, before working on these issues, we've met with some council members about these things. I remember years ago when Tom Hucker was the council member of D5, and we had someone, a member at our meeting with him. That member mentioned, wow, Tom Hucker was so nice, you know, and he really cared that these things happened to me. You know, the police were so mean, I just assumed everyone was like that. And the county government was like that, right? And so these really do have repercussions on who participates in civic society as well.
You had a 3-pager with a script for reaching out to council members, didn't you, at one point?
Oh, a call script.
Yeah.
Some of our members at Montgomery College Rockville developed.
Yeah, so that if it's appropriate, it might be a handy thing to, you know, we could, you know, distribute and make available. I mean, for those, of course, who are interested in pursuing the Freedom to Leave Act further, that might be a helpful thing. So 1-page description, and then it's got a call script, and then the list of your particular council member.
Sure, this might not be the best to share on an email.
Okay, all right, okay,
but
fine.
For the folks in this meeting, absolutely. Let me make a copy.
Or if you want to email it to us,
Yeah,
like
you can
after the
email, we can
meeting,
distribute.
Danielle,
Yeah.
if that works for you.
Absolutely, I can do that
Okay,
too.
awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you
you
so much. For having
this
us.
was really
thank you.
important. Thank you so much. Thank you, both of you, for being here. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'll send you the link for the recording too.
Sounds good. Bye.
Okay, awesome. Bye-bye. All right. That we do only have a few minutes left, but if anyone has any questions or thoughts or anything they'd like to bring up, please feel free.
That was a consciousness raising experience.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting her.
Yeah, that was, we need
I
to
mean,
talk more about
we
that.
know this is happening, or we suspect this is happening, but that's different from hearing directly from somebody that it happened to and watching that
Mhm.
awful
Yeah.
video, that traffic stop video.
But they also made a good point that just for civic engagement, how alienated they become and why they don't vote.
Of course.
I mean, it's horrible to say, but I never really put two and two together. I knew these traffic stops happen and they could escalate very quickly and become terrible, but I
Yeah.
really never thought about the ramifications beyond the immediate and, maybe losing their job and stuff like that. I never thought about their attitude towards further civic engagement.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, Kathy has a good point. Yeah, and what's infuriating to me is the massive amount of tax dollars that are going to this, and with no, first of all, it's unconstitutional, and it's, when we walk our streets, like I'm very close to Georgia Avenue, across, sometimes taking your life in your hands.
Right.
As people run through red lights and flout traffic laws or the traffic regulations. And that, it's amazing to me that more people are not killed, number one. And number two, there's never a police officer around when these things happen. Regularly happens at Seminary Road in Georgia. I mean, if we had, anyway, I'll stop preaching to the choir here. Any last questions maybe about anything else in the meeting?
Can I talk to you about the book club where we're meeting?
Do you want to talk to me after, or
Sure.
just, okay, sure. All right, anything else about the primaries or election?
No, but I thought Fern did a very good job encouraging
Yes.
people to give and
Yeah.
why it's important.
Yeah, she absolutely did. Yeah, Rich.
Dee? Well, I just wanted to say the consent procedure is a long-standing issue, and I think we need more information. This has gone all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. So while this is presented with urgency here, I think there are a lot of layers to this, and I see a lot of drivers driving poorly, and I don't know whether they're any particular race. I drive a school bus. I'm on the road, almost 40 hours a week on these streets. So there are a lot of people who need to get pulled over. And I do agree that we don't see very many police cars as we're driving around our community. I don't know that having more police cars is an answer, but it's a very crowded county.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
More people should be pulled over, but being pulled over for driving badly should not lead to a search of the vehicle.
Not unless there's probable cause.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Right.
they're pulling somebody over for running a red light, for example,
and then they see a gun in the back seat.
Well, if they see the gun, yes, but if they don't see anything, there's no probable cause and they shouldn't search.
Right.
I think that's the issue there.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think that the data demonstrates that the stops that they're making are not yielding the outcome that they would expect. So
that they say they want.
Yeah, so you want to look at your data and see what you're doing and what the result is of what you're doing across the board.
Sure. I mean, if our goal is to make people safe, like she said, why don't we use some of those resources to invest more in, let's say, maybe even traffic cameras or better infrastructure.
To be helpful.
Yeah, for the roads.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Lots of food for thought.
I think Debbie.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that after the primary was finished, I've been thinking about what we can do to educate people about how moderate Hogan is. And I contacted Mark Corman, one of my state delegates, because I know that there's information about the many times that Hogan had vetoed progressive bills and then was overridden.
Yeah.
And then he took credit for the results. So Mark, I was asking Mark if there was a resource for that, the information for the examples of that. And he said that the state is working on it, that the state party is working on it.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to having that information and putting it to use.
That's great. And I don't know if you saw earlier in the meeting, I shared a resource from Indivisible Howard County that had a list.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's very good. And the more the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is going to be our main battle. You know, Hogan has a good track record of tricking Democrats into thinking that he's a reasonable guy. But my hope is also that those same Democrats will weigh a governor's race versus a Senate race are two different things. And now we also have Dobbs. So I'm hopeful for that. But you're right, Debbie. I mean, we really need to work on this. We will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys, it's 12:01, so I don't want to hold you. Thanks so much for coming out on the holiday weekend. And Fern, thank you for contacting Young People for Progress. I thought that was excellent and something very much we need to think about.
Yeah, thanks, Fern.
Yeah. All right, guys, enjoy the rest, or don't enjoy, as Mike said, have a peaceful and thoughtful Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.
Remembering those. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.